So the positive thing is he finally got the hang of messaging in regard to coronavirus vaccines, because everything that we've gotten from the CDC, all of the messaging we've gotten from the federal government in regard to encouraging people to get the vaccine, I think was misguided, because they wouldn't communicate the incentives for getting the vaccine. And the incentive is, when you get the vaccine, you've gotten both doses, both shots, it's been 2 weeks, you can see people, like you can hang out with loved ones, and that's a giant incentive. And in Israel, for instance, they have this campaign called "Get a Shot, Take a Shot" to encourage young people to get vaccinated, because they weren't interested, right? Like they thought, well, I'm young, it's unlikely that coronavirus is gonna harm me or kill me, so as a result, why am I gonna spend my time, getting this vaccine? And the point that the Israeli government was trying to make here was, you wanna enjoy that sweet nightlife, don't you? Right? Mm-hmm. And so in America, we weren't getting that kind of messaging. It was actually very different. It was, no, you must get the vaccine, and then after you get the vaccine, double mask, and then you're gonna quarantine for 6 more months. And it was, obviously, that's hyperbole, I'm exaggerating, but you catch my drift, right? At some point, and we haven't gotten to this point yet, which is why maybe my commentary sounds nonsensical, but at some point we're gonna get to this uncomfortable area where people aren't like, jumping on top of each other trying to get this vaccine. The people who desperately want to get the vaccine will have been vaccinated, and then it's all about persuading those who maybe bought into the nonsense about the vaccine by conspiracy theorists. We need to persuade them that A, the vaccine is safe, and B, there are good things to follow for you personally once you get that vaccine. I mean, aside from keeping you alive and all that. So yeah. I think that he did that really well in the speech.
Yeah, and I don't think what you said is hyperbole. My dad is double vaccinated, he's 83 years old, he just got finished, and he's still worried about hugging the kids. Why? Because the media is pounding it into everybody's head. Like the vaccinations don't matter, you still need to do all the same precautions. No, the point of the vaccinations is that it does matter, and you don't have to do that. So I'm not saying go nuts and go in the middle of a crowd of 80,000 people and start spitting everywhere, right? But at the same time, hug your grandkids. Yes, that's what. Look, I like Israel's policy. I'm going to take a preemptive shot later today, okay? Even though I didn't even get a shot. And so let's just note one last thing before I say probably the most important part of this is just the goofy stuff. Like. Whenever Biden says, we need to get the shots in arms, or a lot of people say that, I always feel like
stop using that. No, it's not just goofy; it's uncomfortable. Like that for people like me, that dissuades me from what. Obviously, I'm gonna get the vaccine once I can, but I don't like hearing it framed that way. It's weird. It sounds painful. Stop saying that. Like,
yeah, you remember how
shots in arms is not a good way of describing getting vaccinated. It's just not.
Yeah, I don't know if you were on that show, but we discussed how Frank Luntz did a focus group of Republicans. He's the top Republican pollster, and they learned how to try to get Republicans to take the shot. And apparently, there's 2 different ways of referring to it. One is just getting vaccinated, and that works better. But apparently, I didn't know this, a lot of people in the country are calling it the jab. And it was not surprising that Luntz was like, yeah, that did not poll well. People do not want to get jabbed.
Who calls it that? I haven't heard that before.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a rural thing. I don't know if it's a Republican thing, but no, don't call it the jab. That sounds disastrous. Right? Yeah. There's a lot of things that, and that one's not on Biden at all. But and this is, I know I'm being silly, and these are normal things, but his slogans suck, right? Build back better, world's worst slogan. Guaranteed Biden picked it, and it was too awkward to say like, Mr. Vice President, it doesn't really roll off the tongue. It doesn't. We build back better. It's going in a lot of different directions, right? When he kept referring tonight to the second gentleman, I know that's a thing now, right? But it just, I don't know, it sounds so funny. And the second gentleman got the jab.
Wait, what is that? I don't really know what he meant there. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, that's Anna, that's why I wanted to clarify. I'm not sure everybody knows. That's Kamala Harris's husband, because he's the first ever not lady but gentleman in that role. And so they didn't know what to call him, and they landed on the second gentleman.
Why don't they just call him Bob? Like, what's his name?
No, just call him by his name. It's just so awkward. Okay, and then the second gentleman got a shot in the arm, and he built back better after that. Okay.
Look, maybe it's just a personal preference, but if I were Kamala Harris's husband, I would not like being referred to as the second gentleman.
No,
like, it sounds pretty bad.
The first thing everybody thinks is, who's the first gentleman? Right? Look, if my wife became vice president, I would be so immensely proud of her and me for marrying her that you couldn't fit my pride in a room or in a house or in the White House, right? But it would all be ruined the minute someone called me the second gentleman. Okay. Anyways, totally. Super random fun point. Okay, I got more where that came from in terms of like goofy words that they use. By the way, I just want to say before the last point, thank you to all of our members. That's why we can do extra coverage like this. Normally we'd be doing the post game for the members, but we're doing this because it's such an important moment, right? So tyt.com/join to become a member. If you're watching on YouTube, you can just hit the join button below. And on Twitch, it's free if you have Amazon Prime. So twitch.tv/tyt. All right, so last thing is, Anna, the most important part in this incredibly boring but sane, like wonderfully sane speech. He didn't say anything crazy. Everything he said was generally true, etc. Was the bottom line. Look, passing the relief bill is super important. And the best point he made about that was, if you're a family of 4 and you're under the cap, which is, $150,000 and you're not at all phased out, you start getting phased out after 150 and you get phased out completely at 160 if you're a couple, right? But basically a family of 4, you're gonna get $5,600. That's a lot of money. That's amazing. And that's a majority of the country. That's great politics. And you should remind people of that. And it's also good policy. I mean, that almost never happens in Washington. Good policy and good politics. So I love that he pointed out. So that's half the results. The other half is, are they just going to be able to deliver on execution of the vaccine? Because I want the vaccine. I want to go back and be able to enjoy life and be with my family and travel and do all the things that we used to do. So if they deliver the vaccine in good time, great. Then they did a wonderful job. We elected them largely for competence, not because we thought they were going to do amazing progressive stuff, but they weren't going to burn the country down. They weren't going to end democracy, and they were going to be competent. That was their core promise. So that's what they have to deliver on now. If people don't get the vaccines in time, they're gonna be furious. If they do, then mission accomplished.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.